What is good, everybody? Man, it's your boy in the building. We're back again with another video. Now, before we get this video started, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys share this video. All right, man. So I kind of want to speak about what we witnessed yesterday or Saturday. And that was the SWAC championship game. Now, obviously, I didn't really do a whole lot of speaking about it during the reaction video yesterday, but I wanted to do it in this one. And let me just say this once again, man. Congratulations to Prairie View A&M on the victory. And I ain't gonna lie, I think the whole preparation started weeks ago, honestly. And I'm pretty sure a lot of the, not just the fan base, but the team itself saw what was being talked about amongst them, about them, which was they ain't play anybody. They play in the West Division, and when I tried to speak about, the defense, it was just, in appreciation to what they were doing. Because, mind you, they've always been in the West Division. They played these same teams over a course of 15, 20-plus years, dating back to the last time they won the SWAC championship game, and their defense never looked like this. So I was kind of banking on how they looked defensively Saturday. That's how they looked all season. And this was not a fluke. This was something that has been constant. And once again, every SWAC opponent that they faced this year, they kept them underneath their season average. Everybody. That's including Jackson State in this one. Jackson State only had 42 plays the entire game. 42 plays. And that right there is a combination of what the defense was doing and what the offense was doing. Like, that right there is a combination of just both sides playing good complementary football. And, talking about the game, and listen, I know that there were a lot of people wanting to see a high scoring game, and I didn't expect it at all. Matter of fact, I do FanDuel a lot, so I bet on FanDuel. And when I saw this game on there, they said, first of all, Jackson State was favored by 7.5 points. I took Prairie View plus the 7.5. Now that's not really an indication that Prairie View was gonna win. I'm saying that ain't nobody winning by no 7.5 points. So I took the points. Then they had it 53.5 points. I said, I'm definitely taking an under. And I won money on both. But listen, I think Coach Jackson pulled Cam Peters to the side and said, this is your game. You got us here. You let us here. You going to take us all the way home. And boy, this game plan, the game plan that the offense put together, it was all Cam Peters. This had Cam Peters written all over it. He had 28. He threw the ball 28 times and had 24 carries. 24 carries for 100 yards, threw for another 294 with 2 total touchdowns. And, they just had the total confidence in Cam Peters, man. And I think Cam Peters, for the most part, did a good job. And one of the most glaring things that happened throughout the duration of this game was the play calling at the end of the first half for Jackson State, and at the end of toward the end of the fourth quarter of Jackson State, because I didn't understand how, mind you, you have 0 timeouts with under 50 seconds left. I think it was 44 seconds left. No timeouts. You're on your own 10-yard line. So you run the ball, first down. I'm thinking, okay, so you're going to go into the half, run the ball, and you're going to run the ball, run the timeout. Second quarter, on second down, you throw the ball. And I'm like, okay, so you're going to run the ball with no timeouts on first down, and you're going to throw the ball on second down with about 20 seconds left. And not only was it a bad play call, it just wasn't a good throw by Lockhart. And I don't know how you put Lockhart in that situation knowing damn well, like, if you're going to throw the ball on second down, at least have him throw it deep. He didn't even throw it past the first down the first down line mark. And not only does Prairie View get a field goal out of that turnover, but then they get the ball back and they score on their first possession of the second half, which is a field goal, which puts it, 16-7. And mind you, Jackson State had one or two drives all game that went over 2 minutes. Just one drive. The entire game, they had two drives that lasted over 2 minutes. And one of their touchdown drives, I think their first touchdown that Morgan had, I think that drive lasted about 4 or 5 minutes, about 4 minutes. But that was the longest drive they had. Because now I will say that it was a nip and tuck ball game in the third quarter, in which I thought Jackson State was about to take over in the third, because Prairie View scores a field goal, minutes later, then Jackson State scores a touchdown, and then after that, Prairie View goes down and scores a touchdown right back. And I thought, so then 3-4 plays later, Jackson State goes down and scores right after that. So I'm like, all right, so this is a nip and tuck game. Then right after that, they get a field goal. Oh, Jackson State gets the interception after they just scored a touchdown. So now I'm like, all right, so Jackson State has all of the momentum going into the fourth quarter. So entering the fourth quarter, after Prairie View gets a stop, great punt, gets it all the way down to the Prairie View's 1 yard line. And then they going down the field, third down after third down conversion. And it takes about damn near 10 minutes off the clock. And even though not only they did not score, they turned the ball over. And I think that's a blessing in disguise that they fumbled and got it on the 1 yard line versus fumbling in the end zone to give Jackson State room to operate. Because now that Jackson State picks up the ball on the 1 yard line, now they have little to no room to operate. In which now it forces Jackson State to run the ball on first and second down just to get out of danger. But I'm thinking at that point, all right, Jackson State, you just saw that Prairie View took 10 minutes off the clock, 16 plays, like 90-something yards on like 15, 16 plays with 10 minutes off the clock. And you run the ball 2 straight times, and then on the third down play, you throw the ball deep. And let me say this. The deep balls were there the majority of the game. Prairie View did a hell of a job of taking the run away from them. You force Jackson State to be one-dimensional when they've been running the ball on everybody all game. They had less than 30 rush attempts. That's the least amount of carries they had all season long. And then now with Morgan being out, now you have to force that freshman quarterback to make plays. Let me say this. He had some great throws in the third quarter. That third quarter, Lockhart was playing some good ball in the third. And although they had that touchdown wiped away in the third with that blindside block, They got it back 3 plays later with the long ball to Savage, and then 2 plays after that, Miller runs it in. So it was a really nip and tuck game back and forth in the third quarter. But outside of that third quarter, Prairie View dominated this game. 100% dominated this game outside of the third quarter. And Prairie View had over 400 yards of total offense to Jackson State's, I think, 260-something. They only had the ball for 42 plays, man, but Cam Peters did a hell of a good job. Rockwell had some really good catches, good clutch catches. Darren Sterling had a monster game on defense, and I think he ended up winning defensive MVP for that game. Lockhart only threw the ball. They only threw the ball 9 times. Well, Lockhart threw the ball 9 times, but they had some really big plays out of that. Had that really good touchdown pass to Dupree. And Rember could have had a touchdown pass, but they got called back. But then Reed and Sellis for Jackson State, they had really good games. They were all over the field the entire game, making tackles all over the field. They did wonderful. But Prairie View, third down after third down conversion, man, I think they had about 10 or 11. I think probably 6 of those or 7 of those conversions came in the second half. And it was just clutch all the way down the field. And Jackson State only had 10 first downs. The entire game had only 10 first downs, and they only had 2 third down conversions all game long. I think the time of possession, I think it was 39 minutes to 21 minutes. Alabama State, I don't know if I mentioned it already, but they only had 2 drives that was over 2 minutes. They had 6 3-and-outs. 6 3-and-outs the entire game. And, yeah, man, Prairie View was dominated this game, and they heard the talk. But I'll say this. I think the players that were missing in this game was Fortillion and Ty Henderson. And I'm pretty sure I said that in the game preview, but those were the 2 players that were missing from this game or in this game for Jackson State that I think would have changed the game because they would have had to play the pass more. See, Prairie View spent the entire game just playing the run, and they took it away from them. They took the run game completely away from them, and this was all Cam Peters in the defense. But they did a hell of a job, man. And listen, but what's next with Jackson State? I think they'll be back. I won't say that they'll be back in the SWAC championship game, but they'll be back contending for a SWAC championship title. Like, they'll be competitive. I think Lockhart is going to be the starter now that his brother is making an appearance, because I think his brother is transferred from Johnson C. Smith, and now he's heading to Jackson State. I think you're going to have a full offseason of us knowing who the quarterback is going to be. And I think that Jackson State will be back. They will be back in this position in terms of being competitive in the SWAC. They'll be back. And I know Alabama State is going to be really competitive. I think FAMU, we'll see what happens with FAMU, but I think Prairie View will be back in contention again, especially as long as this coach is here, as long as Coach Jackson is here. They'll be alive and well in the SWAC championship game for years to come, man. And I gotta just tip my hat to this Prairie View team for just doing a hell of a good job, because they heard the noise. They heard the talk, man, and they shut everybody up. So I'm definitely gonna be excited to watch this Prairie View and South Carolina State game. We got a good game finally out of this SWAC championship game. One of the best defensive games I've seen out of Prairie View this season. They did an amazing job, man. And listen, it's a shame that Morgan got hurt. Really, real shame that Morgan got hurt and couldn't finish the game. But listen, man, that's how the cookie sometimes. Sometimes the healthiest team is the one that makes it the furthest. And I think it kind of reared its ugly head, especially with the penalties, the timely penalties. It finally caught up with Jackson State because they got away with being the most penalized team, but then, putting foot to ass against people. And in this one, the penalties cost them, but even though they won their turnover battle, they just couldn't pull the game out. But this was a real good game, man, and I really enjoyed it, man. So my hat's off to Prairie View, man. I definitely enjoyed it.